Over the last couple of years, I have been on a mission to find out exactly how much power and torque you can make and how fast you can go on an unopened, unmodified, junkyard pullout, bone stock 8.1. And of course some boost, but a stock engine nonetheless. Now, when I first started this project back in the winter, I guess, of 2020, back before the world went crazy, everything I read on the internet said that this engine was garbage, and yeah, it might make some good torque, but anything more than 4 or 5 pounds of boost, and this engine is gonna melt down, it's gonna turn into a pile of that nuclear stuff that's at the bottom of Chernobyl. That's what I would get if I tried to turbocharge this engine. But over the last couple of years, we have proved the collective wisdom of the internet is not exactly correct, because we started out with about 5 pounds of boost. And that was fun. It made a lot of power, it made a lot of torque, but you get tired of it. We just wanted more and more. So we turned it up from 5 to 7 to 10 to 14. And we ran our fastest pass to date last December at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We ran a 1092 at 125 miles an hour. Now, the problem with that pass, and many that I did before it, is I hit a wall somewhere around 5,500 RPM. No matter what I do in tuning, the engine simply will not spin any faster. It's just hitting a brick wall, and I believe that's because of a combination or a mismatched combination of parts. Namely, valve springs, camshaft, intake manifold. They're just not designed to let this engine spin that fast, especially with 20 pounds of boost being crammed down its throat. So today, we're gonna fix that. We're pulling the engine out, and we are going to, well, we're not gonna replace it, although it would be really cool to put one of those in there, but that's for another project. We are pulling the 8.1, but we are going to keep the essence of what the UglyTruck is. To build a fast truck, you might think, well, you probably want to build the engine. You want to put something a little bit stronger in there rather than pushing this engine right up to the ragged edge. And you're correct. If you're a longtime viewer of the channel, you'll know that I have another Gen 7 big block that I'm building right now. It's 535 cubic inches, but the problem with that one is the engine build has basically transformed into a complete other truck build. So that is a really ambitious project, and it's kind of been put on the back burner sort of temporarily until I get this phase of the UglyTruck done. So what exactly are we doing? As I mentioned, the engine is coming out, and we're going to be making some changes in the valve train department and possibly the induction department. We're changing the cam, valve springs, roller rockers. I'll probably have to get some different push rods. I do have a different intake manifold I'm debating throwing on, but basically what I want to do is let this engine breathe at a higher RPM, put stiffer valve springs in, of course, so the valves don't float. I think that's my biggest problem that I'm fighting. And yeah, let more air into this engine so we can produce more power at more RPMs and go faster. And my goal for the end of the summer, I don't know if it's possible, don't know if it's doable, but my goal is to get the UglyTruck to run a 999. So let's get to it. Believe it or not, this is actually the first time this turbo is coming off since I built this whole setup back in, I think it was fall of 2020. So at first glance here, it might appear that we've taken a bit of a wrong turn, because originally I stated our goal today was to get the engine out of the truck, but as you can see now, we have a fender removed, we got the front end gone, but don't worry, the goal still is to get the engine out. But there's some other things that I want to address along the way, and the first is a mistake that somebody made, not me, of course, but somebody else working on this truck decided that it would be a cool idea to chop a big old hole in the side of the fender and run the exhaust pipes from the turbo right out the fender. I mean, that totally would not be me. I would never install a fender exit. It's kind of cool, it's kind of rowdy, but it ruins the sleeper vibe. So along the way, in part of our cam swap and other upgrades, I'm going back to the full 4-inch exhaust. I'm going full sleeper mode again with the UglyTruck. Now, if you're wondering what I'm gonna do about that big giant hole, well, we are in luck because good buddy Nick, my right-hand man, he goes to junkyards all the time, and wouldn't you know it, oops, I'm gonna trip, but he found me another fender. It's the same color. It already has some of the nice faded paint that I am after that will match the hood, match the rest of the truck, and I think that one's actually just a little bit straighter than the one I had on here in the first place. So we're going back to full sleeper mode, full exhaust, 4-inch all the way to the back, along with all the cam swap and the other stuff. So let's keep going. Oh, by the way, one more thing. Look at this down here. You see how close that exhaust pipe is to the shock mount right there? Well, I got something to show you in a little bit that'll explain that, but that didn't used to be there. So a couple hours later, we have the engine sitting on the ground, transmission sitting on the ground underneath the truck still. I haven't actually wheeled it out from underneath, but basically the entire drivetrain has been disconnected and removed from the truck, and now we are ready to tear down the engine and see what's on the inside. Hopefully the Junkyard 8.1 is in good condition. I don't think we've caused any damage. When I drained the oil, I didn't see any weird metal or anything like that. Didn't see any signs of damage so far, but next time we are going to open this thing up. I think the heads are coming off because I have some better head gaskets, better head bolts, cam swap like we mentioned, valve springs, roller rockers, and possibly, and I'm pretty sure, a different intake manifold. So more or less, that's what we have in store. And if we find any surprises on the inside of this thing, like a broken ringland or anything like that, we'll address it as the time comes, but I don't think we'll find anything. I think this engine has a lot more left to give, and if there is a limit, I don't really want to necessarily find it, but we're going to push right up to it, and who knows? Who knows what will happen over the next year. Anyway, I told you guys there was something I wanted to show you earlier when the engine was sitting much, much closer to the chassis than it was before, and that's the motor mount. On the passenger side here, check it out. The rubber on the bottom is like completely shot. There are big chunks that are just missing, and basically that thing just kind of flops around there. So the engine is not being restrained like it should be. Luckily, I do have a solution though. Richard from Atomic Fabrication, you've been hearing a lot of his name lately. That's because he makes a lot of great stuff for these GMC 800 trucks. He custom built me, quite some time ago actually, but he custom built me a set of mounts that'll fit the 8.1 bolt pattern to his stock 1500 series Silverado frame mounts. These have a much stiffer polyurethane bushing material, so that's going to hold up much, much nicer than those 300,000 mile 5.3 stock motor mounts. I mean, I think they're the originals. I have no idea to tell for sure, but they're a stock 5.3 Silverado mount that I modified to fit the 8.1 simply by moving that one hole right there. You can probably see how I welded that little corner on right there. Anyway, everything up there was fine, just the rubber has failed because we have massive amounts of torque. Anyway, next time we're going to start the tear down, and I want to say thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. If you want to see any more on the evolution of this truck over the last couple of years, I'm going to link a video down below, and it's going to have the whole build process start to finish. We've had a lot of fun with this truck. So thank you guys for watching. Come back soon. Have a good one. Oh, by the way, this is a 6.6 liter L8T. Stay tuned for that.